Hello, I'm Keyoka, the Awkward Black Nomad. I'm a writer, I'm a dog mom, and I travel solo. On my channel, I talk about my experiences bopping around with my two Chihuahua mixes, Frank and Bernie Chow. And I also invite other Black travelers to come onto the channel and talk about their experiences traveling and living all around the world. If that sounds like something you're interested in, subscribe to the channel. Click the notification button so you're notified when we go live and like this video. I have a very special guest today. Let me bring her up. Or maybe not. Hold on. There we go. There we go.
Here I am.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So we were talking a little bit before the live. Could you tell the people a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and where you currently are?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, Keoka, thank you for having me on. Super excited to jump into this conversation. So, I'm Steph Jones, also known as Lilac Calandra, and I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. And it's funny, we were just talking about that, how everyone hears the Boston accent and then they expect you to have it. But let me be honest, that accent is really for one group of people. It's for white people in Boston, that act, you know what I mean? So I don't have the accent. I don't have that Pak the Khan Harvard Yard accent. They do. So it's fine. We all accepted it. We all own it. It's cool. So I'm originally from Boston, went to school in Miami. I stayed there for 5 years. Lived in Atlanta for 1 year, and then 2018, I started my travel journeys. My dad actually took me and a best friend of mine to Aruba, and then the bug was on from there. I had the traveling bug, and from there I ended up going to Israel. I went to Greece, Rome. I made a stop in Rome, and I realized that it's a beautiful thing to go and explore outside of America. At times we find ourselves in a bubble, in a dome in America, and we're told that we're the number one country and we're the top, and you don't have to leave these shores. But when you get out and you explore the cultures, you become a global citizen. So that's what I consider myself. So currently, I'm living in Johannesburg, South Africa. I absolutely love it. The whole country has just welcomed me. She's a great mother. She's rocked me in her arms and loved me, and so that's where I am now. And I feel like I wouldn't be here without getting the opportunity to explore other cultures, other communities, and really find that love for just the world.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So this month we are actually focusing on countries in Africa. This is my extended Black History Month because for my actual Black History Month, I was resting and taking care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Absolutely,
month
absolutely.
I'm spotlighting countries in Africa, and we've had some amazing guests on. If you guys are subscribed to the channel, you'll see them, but also like go through the repertoire. Like I have a playlist going, and I'm learning so much about people who have traveled to different places in the continent. So I do want to shout some people out. Black folk, we speak when we come into the room, so please say hello. If it's morning time, say good morning. If it's in the middle of the, I think it, would you said it was the evening for you, Steph?
Yes,
A little
it's
late.
it's it's around 4. It's around 4 p.m. It's getting later here.
It's getting later. Okay. Hey, locating cozy. She's in Spain. I don't know if she's still in Madrid,
Oh,
but she is.
hola,
Yes. Hola.
hola.
Hola. Brown Girls Invest too. Hey D. She lives in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico.
Okay.
Another D Cunningham. Hello.
Hi.
Atifa plus four. Good morning. Oh, you got a cute little baby. Your little baby is
I
adorable.
know, little cheeks. Mm.
Morning, Zay. This is my sister Xavier. Hey.
Hey,
See, we
sister.
was talking about family earlier. You see, they come to support when they can.
Hmm.
But so walk us through your journey a little bit, Steph. So how does the girl from Boston end up in Johannesburg? Did you go there and you were like, this is my place? Or was it intentional? Did you always know that you would live abroad? What was your process like?
It's funny. Now that I am living abroad, I feel like I always knew that I was going to live abroad. I
Hmm.
always, even in Boston, which has a very big West Indian community, African community, Latino, like everybody's there in Boston. It's a big melting pot. So I've
Is it
always been
really?
surrounded by culture. Yeah, I know, right? The movies, a small tangent. The movies don't do Boston justice. I would say visit or talk to someone from there. We have so many different cultures and communities in Boston. So you can't help but to grow up around a whole bunch of different cultures. So you find an appreciation for it. So maybe about 2.5 years ago, I started working for this company. They're an investment company for people across the diaspora who want to repatriate to Africa. They want to come back, like it's home. Come on back. And so it was looking at how to buy land, how to invest in business, because a lot of the job rates, like they're low. You know what I mean? Employment rates are low, job rates are low. So they're asking for us to come and start businesses so we can help employ those, around us. So I came January of last year, actually, and as soon as I stepped my feet on the ground, South Africa was like, "All right, come on." And I was like, wait, what? Like, hold on, just a minute, like I had been thinking about moving back because the company that I don't work for the company anymore, but it's why I'm in South Africa. So I'm grateful for it. The company, they were opening an actual office, like we used to do everything remote. Everything was virtual, Zoom, and then they had an actual brick and mortar business in Soweto, so it was perfect. It's just me. I wasn't married. I didn't have any children, and I was like, I can pick up and go wherever I want to go. And as soon as, like I'm saying, as soon as I came, South Africa just felt warm, and it felt like home. It felt inviting. The food was good. The music was great. The air was nice. I didn't have any allergies. I felt like my body was great. The sun felt real. You know what I mean? It just was, yeah, like it felt real. And I was like, what's this? Whatever diet sun we have, whatever diet weather we have in the States. I was like, oh, okay. Um, so yeah, that's how I ended up here. And I it's one of the best decisions of my life. I really love that I made the move, and it does take a lot of courage and it does take a lot of boldness to leave, America. To leave America. We have so many comforts and we have so many, things that we're just used to, and to come, to an African country that is well off. That it's I'm not living in a hut, right? However, it's just different
Especially
than
not in South Africa.
and I'm in Johannesburg. Now, other places of South Africa, they are more rural, and that's, they're more rural, like Limpopo and Mpumalanga. Those places are rural. They're a little further out. In Johannesburg, it's very much modern. It's very much high rise, very much, all that. So there's no shortage of anything here. It's just not the same that I was used to. You know what I mean? There's a difference that you're used to things in your home country, and you come and it's like, okay, it's different. It's similar, but it's different. So it just takes a big adjustment, and
Well,
I'll be
there's
adjusting for the
also
rest of my life.
fair, right? But there's also like you touched on this a little bit. In the US, we have this idea that we're the number one country. Why would you go anywhere else? And there's a lot
Hmm.
of misconceptions, especially about countries in Africa, about like the quality of life and how people are
Keyoka.
doing. I had a friend, this is last week. Okay, I have a text message in my phone from my friend. I was telling her I love South Africa. I wanted to go back. And she was like, "Are you sure? Because is that one of that's the crime is so high and it's not safe." And I was like, "Okay, so this is a picture of me walking the streets of Cape Town. It could be anywhere USA. Okay? It really could
Absolutely.
be." This idea that the world outside the US is unsafe, we have to break it down, right? Because a lot of places within the US are unsafe. Are you safe in your house right now? Do you feel
I am
safe?
so safe. I'm on the 16th floor of a high rise. I am safe. Okay. And it's one thing to visit a place, and then it's another thing to live, right? I'm not a tourist. I'm not on vacation. Like, this is where I've decided to make my home. So you get a chance to really like do extensive research. And what I'm realizing is that America, and it's no shade to America, I'm just saying that I feel like in America, we're taught to put down other countries and we're taught to see everybody as lower and less than, and we're above and we're the top because we can get quick Amazon orders and we have all these amenities and all these things. I'm just saying what I'm saying,
Right.
right? Like our mail system and all these systems in place. What I realize is America has the best PR system in the entire globe, universe, galaxy, wherever. There's no one who does PR like America because they have shown the whole world follow our music, follow our movies, follow what we do, our podcasts, our everything, our videos, everything. And when I got here, I realized that especially Black South Africans, they were raised just like us on our music, on our shows, on our celebrities. Like we're going song for song, like Blackstreet, Mary J. We're going song for song. I'm like, yo, I'm looking over like y'all know the words, y'all know the beat. But it's weird to me because I didn't realize how much our music was pumped in the entire world. So that is always something that's amazing to me. That American culture has been pumped, and Black American culture. Let me be very clear: Black American culture is probably the most popular culture. I would say in the world. I want to be honest. I would say in the entire world. You can go
No.
anywhere, and when people know that I'm American, they're like, "Hey, girl," or they'll try to do some slang. I'm like, "Oh no, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that." But it shows the reach. It shows the reach.
Yeah, it's crazy you talk about music because we had
Mm,
Frankie on the channel, and he lives in Cape Town, and he was saying that like South
mm.
Africans know like deep, deep, deep 90s R&B. Like you're
No,
like, how do
deep,
you know that song? Like,
like stuff that didn't even make it to the radio. Like
right.
they, so that means you were listening to the CD. You were listening to you.
Yeah.
It didn't. That wasn't on the radio. That wasn't pushed on a video. That means you really love this. Brandy, I hear so much Brandy. I'm like, these songs weren't on the radio. I said, who's listening to Brandy? It was just a
Right.
Brandy. And every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here, it's 90s R&B in the restaurants. 90s R&B. And B.
I love
And I'm
it.
like, oh, okay, like, whoa, it's amazing to me, you know?
I love it. I love it. I love it. But let's back up a little bit. Okay,
Yeah.
so how did your friends and family respond to you actually leaving the country? Like, because I imagine they thought, oh, okay, she's gonna be in South Africa for a little bit and then she's gonna come back home and get her
Mm,
life together, or whatever. But you were
no.
like, no, I'm not coming back.
I'll tell you the process. I'm a free bird, and my family knows that I'm a free spirit, right? And when I was 18, I was 17, actually, I went to move to Miami. I went to college in Miami. I didn't know anybody there. It's just where I wanted to go. I'm the youngest of five, and the campus, the mother campus of the school I went to Johnson and Wales. The mother campus is in Rhode Island. That's like an hour and a half from me. Too close, way too close. So Miami was where I needed to grow and where I needed to develop and be. And I didn't know it, but I just felt called there. And so I'm like, let me go. I trusted the Most High. I said, let's go. I didn't know anybody. And I grew up so much and I learned so much about myself. And they know that if I want to do something, if I put my mind to do something, then that's it. And I'm gone and I'm out of here. And so when I came back in January, I started telling them, man, I could really see myself living in South Africa. I could really from January, I could really see myself living in South Africa. Like I feel like that's the place for me. I could grow there, and I repeated that so much that when it was time for me to move, people were like, oh okay, like we thought you were. Of course, people were sad, right? Because there's a lot of distance between us. But they're like, okay, I figured because every time I'm like, oh, I love South Africa. I was showing pictures. We went on safari. I was like, oh, I could really see myself living there. I love it. I just kept saying it over and over and over again, preparing and training my family and friends
Right.
to do without me, and I had to wean some people off of me because I knew I was getting out of here. Like I was leaving, so I want you. I'm gonna teach you how to do some things. I want you to do these things. Don't call me all the time because I'm really not gonna be available. So it was a process. I trained people because I kept talking about it, and they knew when it was time. They knew they were sad, but they knew because I'd been talking about it so much.
Now, do you come from a get up and go family where they'll come and visit you?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I wish, a lot of my family still feels a certain way about Africa, like
Okay.
what we were told. We saw the in the arms of an angel. We saw the little
Yes,
boy with the
yes,
distended belly. You know what I mean? And the
yes,
flies landing right on his little
yes.
cheek, right here. Boom, flies. That's what we know about Africa. That's what's in their mind. And so now I'm having to rewire, refashion, because that's all they keep seeing. When they hear Africa, they see that commercial and they see that fly, they see that
Yeah.
sad little boy with the big belly. And I haven't seen one of those children yet, and I won't. I want to be honest. So,
But you did mention having to adjust and that you will be adjusting for the rest of your life. So like
oh, yeah.
what kind of things do you think you're adjusting to?
Okay, so in America, we know how African Americans are treated in America. It's just very second class citizen.
Yeah.
But in South Africa, there's a they cherish they cherish African Americans, because that's what they've seen in the movies, TVs, music, and so we started the culture that they love. They love their own culture too. I'm not, what I mean, they're not replacing it, but they have such a love for the African American music, TV shows, all that. Our colloquialism, all of our sayings, they love all that, right? And so it was weird to be treated with such respect when someone hears the accent. It kind of makes me say, oh, whoa, what's going on? And also when they hear, not everybody, but when a lot of people hear America, they just hear cha-ching, 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 cheddar, cheese, moolah. You know what I'm talking about. So that's the adjustment that I'm having, like, oh, without even knowing my bank account, without even knowing how many coins, pennies, nickels, dimes, or anything I have to my name, I'm automatically seen as just rich. And I'm like, hold on, that's the adjustment that I'll always have to be like constantly moving through. You know what I mean? And I'm from Boston, and I say that wherever you are, you can tell how the people are by the weather. So Boston is cold, and so the people can be cold. New York is cold. Like, these are my theories, right? I've had the time to really think in
I've heard
Africa.
that. I've
It's
heard that
true.
about Europe too. Like the far up north you go, the colder the
It
people.
is. They're cold. Russia, Germany, those people are cold.
Listen,
They're cold.
listen, I have a video on my channel about Germany. I'm gonna get off y'all necks, but I could never go back to Germany again, and I'll be okay.
One and done. But they're cold. So to find people who were not cold and who greet you, how's it morning, Unjani, I'm like, oh, hey, what's going on? Well, I have to train myself not to be defensive, because you don't really speak to people in Boston. You don't. In America, the southern states, you still kind of speak to people, but that's fading out as well. You know what I mean? You don't really talk to people. You just go about your business. So it's different. That's the adjustment, because when people are greeting you, and from what I've heard from the South Africans that I'm in community with, when they're greeting you, they're greeting your whole entire clan. They're greeting your whole family. They're not just saying hi to you. They're saying hi to all your ancestors, all the people who came before you. So that is deep, and I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. This they're greeting me as an individual, as a person. They see me bigger. So those are some of the adjustments for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and I want to touch on what Brown Girls Invest 2 said. I visited South Africa before and everyone said, "Welcome home" to me. I thought they were being facetious, but they meant it and I felt it as well.
They
She's
meant it.
also a northerner. Dee is from Chicago, I believe.
So you know,
So
you
she
you you
knows.
know. I mean, it's windy. Chicago's cold, so people can be cold. It can be dangerous, but they said welcome home, and they really did mean it. They meant welcome home, and you feel like home. Now, it's not everybody. I mean, and that's anywhere too. Just the same thing with the crime. Everybody's not welcoming. Everybody's not saying welcome home. There are some people who are like, we don't want you here. And you could tell by their actions, their words, you could just tell. But for the most part, it is a very welcoming space, a lot of laughter. People love to smile. People love to have a good time and chill. And it's an adjustment to the psyche, to the mental,
Mm,
to my physical body, right? Where I'm talking about, oh, what am I feeling somatically? Like, I don't always have to be on the defense. I don't always have to be tense, and my shoulders don't always have to be clenched up. I don't always have to have my head on the swivel. I'm being safe, but I don't. There's a lot of defenses I can drop because people are really welcoming.
Mm, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Good morning, Deneen. Love this channel. Thank you so much. I want to remind everybody watching, because I see how many people are watching. Please like the video. If you have a question for Steph, drop a Q in front of your question. So we have a question from D. Cunningham. Serious question. All black folk don't have the same culture, so I'm sort of concerned about the frame of this conversation, to be honest. Well, what you mean by that? Elaborate.
Yeah. 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 I saw that comment. I don't. Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I
Elaborate.
understand that.
Let's have some
Yeah.
discourse. And then
Definitely.
while you get your question together, Steph, I want to ask you because you mentioned your bank account. So let's talk about your bank account. Are you a nepo baby? How are you able to live in another country?
God's grace.
Is it what kind of financial planning went into that preparation? Was it you had to get a certain number? Was it you still had income coming in when you moved?
I want to be honest. I saved to come here, and then when I got here, like some tragic things happened, and all my finances were depleted. So when I say God's grace, I mean God's grace. You know what I mean? Like I had saved. I was a school counselor in a high school, so I had a nice paying job in the school system. I was able to save and collect my coins, collect my money. Um, when I got here, my dad actually paid the first 6 months of my rent, so that was beautiful. I love him. He's the bomb, right? Come on now, we got to pass that down. Generational wealth is everything, and yeah, you do. You need to save. You need to have your funds. The good thing about it is the dollar stretches very far here. You know what I mean? So it's that's a blessing. That's a really good blessing. But God's grace, that's he's taking care of he's my banker. He's my financer, and that's how I'm able to survive here. I would not suggest that for everybody unless you're stepping out in that way, right? I would suggest you save you, and it's hard to tell it. It's hard to say an amount. You should find where you want to live, see how much it costs, and then you start doing some multiplication. You start talking about food, transportation. I don't drive. I didn't even drive in the States, so I'm an Uber girl. So I had to factor all that into my budget. And so that's what I would really encourage people to do. Factor all that in, find out where you want to be. Like I said, the job market isn't very good. If you're coming on a visa, remote working is great, or starting your own business so that you can help people get a job, but also that so you can sustain yourself, because there are so many people looking for work that for someone to come outside the country and find a job is almost not impossible, but it's difficult. It's very difficult.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say it's not one of those places that you would go to work. You would go if you
No.
already have something established in the US or
Hmm.
you're starting your own business. I would agree with
Correct.
that.
Correct.
From Girls Investors, how long have you been there? Do you have residency and was it a tough process?
Okay, so I officially moved at the end of July of last year. I mean, it feels like 10 years, but so that's about 8 months, right? Um, I don't have residency yet, or the visa, but I'll be getting it soon. And the process is difficult, so that's what I would say. Endurance is needed, required, mandated, because South Africa's laws are kind of set up just like America. It's kind of hard to get. It takes a while. Some countries, like my dad moved to Ghana in November, and he had his passport by January. He had his actual like Ghana passport by January. So there are countries, right, and that's, I mean, there
New
was almost
plan.
600. No plan. There was almost 600 expats who got their citizenship in Ghana. Like there are countries who are doing it quickly, but South Africa is not one of those. For whatever reason, right? So it is kind of a grueling process, and it's a scammy process. I want to be honest. There are a lot of people saying they can do things and they're not able to do them. So you pay. It's not just a waste of money, it's a waste of energy, it's a waste of time. Money you can always get back, but time and energy you can't ever get those back. So it's like, all right, come on. So it's important to really know. that you're getting into the process with someone who's legit, who knows what they're doing, who will save you time, who will save you money, who will save you energy. So endurance is needed. That's what I'll finish that off with. Endurance is needed, but you can get it.
It sounds like your daddy need to come down to the channel and talk about how he got his passport in 3 months. But
Listen, listen. I was
what?
like, wait, what?
I'm assuming that you're on the temporary visa in South Africa.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Did you use an immigration attorney?
No, no. I mean,
You
the
did it
temporary
yourself.
one, like 3 month. No, no, no. Like, I was the 3 month one. Yeah, that one. The 3 month, the 3 month one.
Oh,
And then I
okay.
was
So
able
you
to go back
leave
to
and
the
come.
States and come back.
Oh,
I've
okay.
only done it once. I've only gone back once, and then I was able. You're able to get an extension too, one time
Oh, you can get. How long is the extension?
for another 3 months. If you can apply,
Oh,
yeah, you can
okay,
apply.
okay. So
And
basically you go there for 3 months, apply for the extension, get another 3 months. Or do you have to leave and then come back?
okay, so what I did was I left, and then when I came back, I had a 3 month. And then when that expired, or like a little bit before that expired, I was able to get an extension. And so
Gotcha.
so I have another 90 days, and in the middle of those 90 days, I'll have my actual visa. So that's why I wanted to buy myself some time.
Gotcha, gotcha. So okay, so I
Hmm.
want to correct for the viewers. So that's actually the tourist visa. I was talking about the
Correct.
temporary, I believe it's called the temporary residency visa, where you can stay for, don't quote me, a year. It's either a year to 3 years. That's something totally
So
different that you have to apply for while you're still in the US.
correct, and that can be so that can be the temporary residency, that can be business, that can be a remote worker. The only visa you don't have to apply for in the to go back to your home country is like the lifetime partnership one. Like if you're with someone in the country and you guys apply, you can actually get your visa and still stay in South Africa. But there's been a new minister of home affairs, so everything that was kind of shaken up, and so there's a lot of things changing, a lot of systems and processes still being worked out and finalized. So it's kind of the foundation is not fully liquid, but it's a little shaky while things are being solidified. Because there were a lot of changes that were going on.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, Deneen is asking, what is the best way to move down there? I visited there in Cape Town in 2016, and the flight was brutal. So, how did you pack everything up? Did you put things in storage? Did you try to take your life with you?
Man, that process, it was beautiful and it was sad all in the same. When I was packing up everything, I realized I had so much. I actually started repenting. I want to be honest. I started repenting for having so much that I didn't need and having so much that someone else could have used or someone else could have had. Like I had so many articles of clothing. I had so many appliances and gadgets that were just collecting dust. And really, as I was packing up, I didn't put anything in storage. I took 5 big bags with me and I packed everything up, and then that's what I brought over. And while I was cleaning out and purging, I was letting layers of myself go that I no longer needed and that I didn't want to take over to South Africa. So if I was tossing out or getting rid of a shirt that I had for 4 years and I never wore it, maybe because I couldn't fit it because after the pandemic a few things happened. But anywho,
I mind my business.
like let's say I couldn't wear the shirt, or I hadn't used it. I let that part of me that was connected to that shirt, I let that part of me go. You know what I mean? So it was a purge, it was very cleansing. I let everything go that I really didn't need. I gave a lot of stuff away, and I took 5 bags, and they were all free. That's a whole different topic, but they were all free. I didn't pay for any of my luggage. You know what? I went, remember when Delta was acting up, the flights were getting delayed and all this stuff was happening? I went to South Africa during that time, and
Oh,
they gave everybody free bags.
listen. So just wait for a crisis, is what you're saying.
And plenty to come, because look what's happening in the States. Plenty crises to come. So there's no shortage. We might get some asylum. Who knows? But the flight is brutal and it's long, and yeah, it's a lot. So if you're coming down, see what you don't need. See what you don't need. See what is just taking up space. We don't have to bring everything, and we're open to getting new stuff and finding different versions of ourselves. So that's what I would say to Deneen.
I think it also depends on what kind of traveler you are. So like for me, I like to play games with my time.
Mm,
Okay.
mm-hmm,
So if
mm-hmm.
I know that a flight is going to be, I don't know, like let's say it's like you're gonna be traveling for 2 days, right? Like it's a 23-hour
Yep.
flight with a long layover. I would
Mm-hmm.
extend my layover somewhere, so maybe like that looks like a direct flight to, I don't know, like Spain or something, hang out in Spain for a few days, and then fly into South Africa. Or like, that way you have like a long break in between. Because at least
Yes,
from Dallas, the flight to Europe from Dallas is only like maybe like 7, 8 hours, depending. Like I
it's
know
not
it's
long.
not long at all, right? So
No.
so give yourself 2 trips. Give yourself 2 trips.
Yeah, and when I came back to the States the last time, I stopped in Paris, not for as long as I wanted to, but I did that. I don't the direct flight. The times weren't working well for me, so I did the layover, and you get multiple trips, and it's beautiful, and it's not a waste because you'll break, and it's good to break it up because sitting on the plane for that long, it's like, oh my gosh, you just want to break out. So you get a chance to stop, breathe, get something to eat, explore somewhere else, and then head on to your destination. That makes perfect sense, and I would suggest that. It's a good advice.
Yeah, and then also be mindful of the if you're flying out from the US, be mindful of the city that you're flying out from, because like you said, some cities offer direct flights. So like where I am in Texas, they don't.
Mm.
But like if you're
Hmm.
flying out of like New York,
Atlanta does, yeah.
yeah, you may be able to find like a direct flight. So it just depends. So you could get like a cheap flight to that city and then do the long leg and fly direct from another city.
Co- Correct. Yeah, I went from Boston to Atlanta, then Atlanta, right to Johannesburg. That's so true. Absolutely.
Inthuminin, min, Inthuminini, mini, Inthumini.
Into many.
Are you Zimbabwean? Are you South African? Anyways, they say that
Yeah.
there's a nomad visa. There is a digital
I think
nomad visa.
the digital nomad. Yeah.
There is a
Mm-hmm.
digital nomad visa. I've heard.
Yep.
So if you guys are watching this right now, I do talk to Frankie with the cam. He lives in Cape Town. He is on the digital nomad visa, and he talks extensively about it in our interview. So go check that out. I'll put a link to the video in the description. But if
Yep.
you want more information on how to get the digital nomad visa, or like his process for going through it, I have it on the channel already. But thank you. I'm so sorry I messed up your name. Like the video.
No, no matter what, like the video.
No matter what, like the video. Okay, I'm gonna say it right next time. I'm gonna say it right the next time. um
Hmm.
okay, so I'm going through my questions because we got way off topic a little bit.
Yeah,
So um all right, so we were talking about the sort of cost of living in Johannesburg. So,
yeah,
how have you been able to find affordable housing?
yeah. So like I was saying, with the dollar, I think it's like, what is it, like 18? Yeah, I think $1 is like 18 rand. Yeah, just about,
Okay,
and it
rich
fluctuates.
people.
Yeah, so you can find a nice place, and I'm always conflicted, right? Because there are, and no shade to anyone, it's just what I'm observing. There are many African Americans who come to South Africa to live a life of luxury, and you live in huge mansions and you drive nice cars and you're always living a luxurious life. But the locals aren't living like that. And when we compare how much something is, I went to McDonald's for the first time when I first got here, And I was looking, and when I had done the calculation, it was only $5 USD, and I got ice cream, chicken sandwich, fries, drink. I got all this stuff. There's no way that that would ever be $5. The tax would be $5. Let's be real clear. But the more I started hanging out with my South African community, I stopped myself from saying, "Oh, this is cheap. Oh, this is cheap." Because it's not cheap to them. This is their currency. This is their money, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying about the superiority complex. Sometimes, when we come to a different country, because our dollar is powerful, we can feel superior and we can feel above and we can feel like we're elite. And I intentionally try to avoid um, doing that. Now, I'm not living in the slums. Now, I don't want to. I'm not living in the slums. I'm just saying that I intentionally watch my language. I know that our dollar is very strong here, and so you can find a really nice place for a little bit of USDs. And the housing market in America, you could never get a nice three-bedroom, three-bathroom in a nice high rise. You could never get it for this price. It's just not a reality. Not even in New York, not in any remote place. No, there's not one place that you could find it. So there's always an opportunity to find a nice place, houses, and whatever you want, because the dollar does stretch here. So, um, yeah.
Would you feel comfortable giving, like if you had to come up with like an estimate of a monthly budget, how much can someone expect to spend a month about?
Okay, let's say you're
Just in
living in,
total. In
sure.
total.
Yeah, we'll break it down quickly. Let's say you live in nice housing, like maybe you have a two-bedroom apartment. Let's go with apartment. You have a two-bedroom apartment, maybe like an ensuite. So there's two bathrooms, one bathroom in each room. It's in a nice gated community. I mean, let's say you could do that for $1,000 USD, right? Let's say you could do that for $1,000, and then food. Let's say you want to do maybe breakfast and lunch, or maybe breakfast, lunch, dinner sometimes, or you want to go out a couple times of the week. Um, okay, I would say because it's cheap, it's not expensive. I mean, you get big heaping hunks of food, and you're looking at the cost, and you're like, what? So I would say you could live comfortably, like really comfortably. I would say on 3,000 a month. I mean, comfortable, like nice, like, and you would have stuff. You would have money left over. You would have, because you're paying your rent, and then I always include leisure. Like I like massages, and so I've included all that in there. That might even be a stretch. You could live nice, nice 2,000. We're including Ubers, which aren't expensive, and I'm talking about just you have your apartment, you have something to eat. If you want to go out, maybe like on the weekends, you could absolutely do well, live well, and be well, on that amount for sure.
I love it. So then what
Yeah.
does a typical day look like for you?
Oh, I wake up, and I'm happy, uh, and then I am able to go where I live. It's like connected to like it has like restaurants, it has little shops, so I go down sometimes. I'll grab breakfast, or right next to me is a shopping center. That's the thing too. There's a lot of malls and little shopping centers everywhere, so you don't have to go far. But mine's in walking distance, so I go over, maybe go to the market, and grab something quick. I can grab something heated up, or grab something to make. So I'll do that, and then I'm working remotely, so I'm click clacking away. But the beautiful thing about it is, because of the time frame, it's on East Coast hours. So my day starts a little later, so I'm able to just kind of wake up, not have to rush to work, just kind of listen to music, be in my meditative state, talk to the people in my home, and hang out. And then I start getting ready around 3, 4 ish. And I'm able to just go out, and I can go to the pool if I want, or I can walk. Now, Nelson Mandela Square is about 10 minutes away from me. I can go there, or go to a shopping center, not have to shop, but just walk around, That's kind of what a typical day looks like. And on the weekends, able to go out. There's always something going on, live music. A lot of artists are always visiting, so that's kind of what it looks like.
I love that. I love that for you.
Yeah,
So let's get into your business a little bit.
into it.
Are you single?
I'm not.
Now hold up because I remember what was said. You said in the beginning, "Oh, I'm a single woman. Like I can go to I can pick up and leave." So that means
Yeah.
I'm connecting the dots. That means that while in Johannesburg, did we find our boo thing?
Yeah, it was beautiful. Right. And I said I was, at that time I was single, I was. I did, and it's so amazing. When you're not looking for something, it smacks you right in the face. And it's beautiful. And I found my person, and I wasn't looking for him. I came here single. I wanted to heal. There was just a lot of things I wanted to just kind of get off me, and we ended up meeting each other. We'd actually worked at the company that brought me to South Africa. We'd worked there together, so we'd only met each other remotely, and then we were able to meet each other in person. It was a done deal, and so yeah,
So your partner is not South African.
is
Oh, oh,
yeah. So the company, what it consists of, people from UK, USA, and South Africa, places in the Caribbean. So we were all able to just connect remotely. Um, and their
nice.
Yeah, and their
Okay.
company, they're actually an affiliate. Their company is the reason that we all were able to come. Like, they got all the connections. They're the reason that we were able to do what we needed to do. So
Okay, I love it. So, by living in South Africa and dating a South African now, what kind of insights have you gotten into the culture? Like, what is the how was the courting process? What's tea?
yeah, I mean, man, it's difficult because we're both we're both like old at heart. We're both old souls. So like, there's hookup culture here too. There's it is it's it's very westernized here. It's very modern here. So it's not necessarily, oh, it's two people meet in the village, and then you go pay the lobola.
Not
People
the
still do that, but
village.
it's yeah, but it's
Listen,
very
wait. But Steph, I'm gonna tell you, and this is because I've been watching a lot of TV. Don't let him
yeah.
think that just because he with an American, he don't have to pay that lobola. Tell him you want your
Listen, he
cows.
knows. He knows.
You
He
want
knows
your
what's up.
cows
And my goats, okay?
and your
My cows and
goats.
my goats, okay? Nah, he knows. But no, but it's very much hookup culture here too. It's very much like, they're called the slay queens. The women here who are dressed to the nines. They dress in tight dresses and short stuff, and they're there to collect their coin. They hang around where they think the ballers are going to be, and
That's
they
right.
hang around where they think people with money are going to be, and they collect their coins. So that culture is pretty big here. So that can make it hard for the dating scene, because if you're with someone who's easily tempted, or if you're with someone who has a roaming eye and just, I'm just being honest, that can make it difficult, right? Because there's a lot of temptation. I mean, the shapes of the women here are out
Yep.
of this world. There's no BBL, like, it's real life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's a lot. But so it's similar. It's very similar to America. That's what I noticed. Now, me personally, what I did notice about myself is, like, Miss Independent Boston girl. She's gone. She's not needed anymore. You know what I mean? She's like, okay, I can leave now because it's just not needed. It's a whole different ball game. So I feel like a woman here. I feel like I can live in my femininity, and I don't have to try to show anyone who I am. Like, I feel like I can be a woman. I can be protected. I can be loved. I can be cherished. And I'm living my soft life, and that's the adjustment. I'm taking it back. That's the adjustment too. I know you're able to live your very soft life because men make you feel like a woman, and you feel very feminine and light and beautiful, and it's great.
I love that for you. I love that for
Yeah,
you. Okay, so
yeah.
because you found your man in the wild, that means that you
Yeah.
did you experience the apps? Were you on the apps at all?
Man, so I'm so not an app girl, but I did. I tried a couple apps. There was like this, what was it, Elite Dating or something, or some silliness. Because I was like, I need to find the high value man and this, and all that. And I'm not saying I didn't find out high value man. I'm saying I was going about it all wrong. And I had this list. It wasn't just a list. It was like a scroll. You know the scroll that the town crier unravels, like, and it rolls down the street, Keyoka, like, that scroll. Girl, that's what my list looked like, and that's not good for anybody. So, and I didn't have to compromise or come down on the core things that I need. But come on, there are some things that we're way too stuck on,
Mm,
and it's more of a detriment than a help to us. So it really helped me. So I went on a couple apps, and I'm not a swiper. And then when I start getting like requests, like I want to see pictures of you, this, block, by, delete, remove the app. And then I tried Upward. I'm landing this plane. I tried Upward, which is like the Christian dating app. It was even worse. It was worse. And I was like, let me get out of here. And Father, you're just gonna have to bump me, bump me in to somebody, because I am not getting on these apps. It was too much. It was too much.
the Christians be the
Mm-mm.
worst ones. The Christians be the
Freaka
worst
leaks.
ones.
Freaka leaks.
Be the worst ones.
Mm.
So
No.
what are some of the places? So like if a girlie is watching this and she's like, I want to go to Joburg and live my best life and find my king, where can they go? Where should they go?
Oh man. I mean, yeah, Joburg for sure. I mean, there's a lot of working class here. You'll find people who have they've gone to university, and maybe have political interests. And that, again, if you go out further than Joburg, then you'll find people have different qualities and different aspects of their life, right? Where
Mm,
in Joburg, it's the city. So you find people who have maybe more of a worldview, and maybe that's what you connect with, or you find people who like to paint, or who like to do this and do that. There's a lot more variety. So yeah, I would say Joburg for sure, because it's the city and it's a really good place to do business, and it's a melting pot. People from Zim, from Mozambique, everybody comes there. So even if you're like maybe not a South African, but you'll find people from all over Africa, because Johannesburg is really looked at as the America of Africa, because of its modern style and things like that. So people come from all over. So yeah, come on, girlies. I want to be honest, and I feel convicted because I've been thinking of doing a matchmaking service between people in America and those who are here in Africa, because I'm of the belief that a lot of people in America, and maybe even Africa too, they're not finding their purpose partners because they're in a whole different country, and so we need to bridge that gap, and we need to bridge that together and bring the two sticks back together, because that's how the true culture and community
not the
is able
sticks.
to be restored. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, drop down in the comments. Like, would y'all participate? That's a, have somebody, have somebody help you find your person. I
Yeah.
think that's an awesome idea.
All
Brown
right,
Girls
good.
Invest too says it's Diet Africa. Listen,
Oh man, look, hold on now. The thing about it is it's still Africa. And there was a woman who commented on Facebook. She's like, if you're about that life, come live in West Africa. Don't discredit, okay, just because we do have amenities here in Joburg, but not
about what
all of so.
life?
If you're about that life, I read her for filth. If I'm about what life? What life? Don't discredit, like, if someone picks up and moves to any part of Africa, you have made a great journey and you have made a great feat. And but like, it is, a lot of people do call it that because you look around, and that the Africa we were told that this continent was, or this country was, is not. Lights, you can switch lights on. People, like, you're gonna have running water, you're gonna have aircon, we have central air, like, so it does seem like, okay, this is not really Africa. But why not? It's in Africa, it's a part of Africa. It's just not the Africa that we were told was in existence. So it's really what we were given, And there are places that are more remote, and you are in the village, you are in the hut, you are in the wild, you are in the bush. No, this is not one of these places, but it's still Africa.
I Yes, and I have an interview with Jace, Jace
Okay.
Nomad TV, and we talk about I asked her for a recommendation. So like if you're somebody who is kind of like in the beginning stages of your travel, where should you in Africa go, right? Because you're having to make certain adjustments, right, to the things that you may be accustomed
Yes.
to. So like if this is your first trip abroad, especially on this channel we promote solo travel. So if you're going abroad by yourself for the first time, you may want to go to a Joburg versus a Nigeria. Like you may not want to go to Lagos your first time abroad.
Absolutely.
You may not want to go to Delhi the first time you go abroad solo, right? So there are places that kind of are like not starter packs, but like places that are easy
No,
it's
but it's
easier for you to
true.
transition into. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good landing spot. It's a nice landing spot because going from America, no matter where you live in America, going from America right to Nigeria, to Uganda, to Rwanda, and these places are up and coming, it could be a shock to your system.
Hmm.
It might be too much of a shock. And but if that's what you want to do, then great. Maybe some people like camping and hiking and being out in nature and stuff like that. That's awesome. But if you want, just a smoother landing place to get yourself acclimated, and who knows, like South Africa will always be home, but maybe I want to try somewhere else. Tanzania, maybe I want to go to Burkina Faso, which I do because they're offering a lot of stuff for those in the diaspora. So but this was a great landing spot. It helped me to get acclimated without putting myself into shock, like physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally into shock, where I'm like, my life is so drastically different that I'm going to go back to the States because I just can't handle it.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, Jace. Yes.
Definitely. Um, and we have your first client for your African American bridge the gap, find your stick. What is it? The two sticks.
I was calling it the Mzansi match. Mzansi is a term for South Africa, meaning the South. So I was doing the Mzansi match. I do want to chat with you about that, what that would look like. I'm looking for people to collaborate with. I'm in my collaborating season, so definitely want to see what that would look like. And if people want to do that, would love to collaborate with you and let's make it happen, Captain.
Yes. I I do want to be clear. I am on the divest from men and find and love yourself train first and foremost. But
Absolutely.
well, we can
You
have
must.
conversations. We can have conversations off camera to see how we can collaborate and merge. I'm
Yes.
definitely support my sister.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So Natasha is asking, are there frequent blackouts and if yes, how do you deal with them?
Tasha Tosh, let me be honest about the politics in South Africa. When the elections happened, maybe it's coming up on a year now. there there were no. It's called load shedding. There was not a bit of load shedding in sight. When I first came in January, there was load shedding all the time, and it happens for about 3 hours at a time. I have not experienced any load shedding since I've been here. They did recently say that it was coming back, and so I know that some people living outside of where I am, they've experienced it. The goal is to get like a inverter, a generator. Make sure you have your flashlights. Because it can hit. It's not like they send you a text message like, "Oh, we're about to do load shedding at 2 p.m." Sometimes it just cuts, and sometimes people are able to you can kind of determine when it's going to cut off. But just have yourself stocked with some candles. Make sure you have your generators so that you can have your own power. And a lot more people are leaning into solar power. That's the move. Have your solar power so you can have things able to still function even if the load shedding is going on.
Yes. And I will say this, so a lot of the girls, actually, I don't know if anybody knows this, but I used to work in renewable energy, so I know a lot about this. The US is actually one of, we have some of the most frequent blackouts on par with third world countries. We are at the bottom of the list of first world countries that have stable power infrastructures, it is because our energy system is old and creaking and breaking down. I am from New Orleans, where if the wind blows real hard, we lose power. It starts to rain,
Ooh,
you can expect to lose power. Okay.
yep,
And I'm not
yep.
trying to make a compare. I'm not making a comparison. But if you lose power for a few hours, you'll be alright. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Keep your fridge closed. Just have your candles. Have your, just it's just like a preparation pack. It hasn't happened in a while. They did say it's coming back. Like I said, people are seeing it. It's not as frequent. But the beauty is, you wait for the next election, and then magically all the power is restored, and magically everything is back the way it needs to. So yeah,
I'm not gonna talk about politics. I'm stopping myself.
I know
So
it's. I know.
how so how have you been able to build community? So you mentioned you do have like a group of South African friends, but do you have like an expat group of friends? What are the vibes like when making friends and building community?
Yeah, so there's a group called African Americans in South Africa, and that's the name of it on Facebook, and they have gatherings, monthly gatherings, random gatherings. We're just getting everybody together, and it's not just African Americans who come; South Africans come as well, and the community is able to be built there, and we're able to really talk about each other's cultures, right? And see the similarities and gain the understanding that we're not as different as people are trying to make it seem. That we're bridging the divide. They're trying to cause this wedge between Africans and African Americans. Nah, it's not a huge divide. We're very similar, a lot similar. So those groups are really good. And then I was able to meet people through the company I came here for, and then through my significant other, his business partner is his brother, and then his brother's wife. I was able to meet them, and then it just kind of expanded from there. And I want to be honest, I love my African Americans in South Africa. Love y'all. Love y'all. But I'm learning Zulu, and so to learn the language, I need to be around people who speak the language. And if
Drop
I
some. Drop
come on,
give us
if I'm
something.
learning, when you meet someone, you say Unjani, like hello,
Njani,
like Unjani, and if you want to say thank you, Niabonga,
Niabonga.
Niabonga, Niabonga, you know. So that it's just the little things. But I realized that when I first got here, I was hanging around so many African Americans. Again, I have no problem with that. But if I'm in a place, I want to learn the culture. I want to learn the language. I want to learn some of those things. So I realized that my community needed to shift a little bit, and I've seen a big drastic change. I still hang out with African Americans all the time, but I've really introduced more South Africans into my community, and it's beautiful, and I love it.
And they've been warm and welcoming towards you.
They have, and it's been a time of great revelation because I think a lot of them thought I was a certain way because of what they've seen on TV. I think you think all African Americans can be like a monolith, or just like you guys are all one way, and the conversations we're able to have, is they're beautiful because they're able to get to know me, who I am. And I realized some of the biases or the preconceived notions that I had, were able to be dispelled, because it's like, oh no, I'm actually talking to someone who's from here, not from what I've seen on TV, or from what I've been told. So it's been very beautiful.
Beautiful. So Big Sis Do Hey sis. Hey girl. Big Sis Dula is asking, oh no, she says my concern is power for work and internet stability. So have you run
Yeah.
into any issues with the load shedding?
No, no, no issues, and you can find places that have a faster speed internet. If you're looking for places, in the description, they'll list that, and the fast is very fast. But like with anywhere, you were just talking about in New Orleans, when it rains or when the wind blows, the internet or something will go out. It's the same. When it rains here, like it rains, like the rain is speaking of something diet, it's diet weather in America. That's what I realized. The rain is the rain, and the wind is the wind, and the lightning is the lightning, and the thunder is the thunder. So yes, there could be some, just because it's the weather, and it happens with Wi-Fi. It just happens. It's not frequent. There's been no interruptions with power. Big sis do, like, I understand that concern, and that would be, but here in Johannesburg, it's not an
Now
issue because Mhm.
I have experience. So when I was in Joburg, visiting my
Yeah.
friend,
Yeah.
this was last April,
Okay.
and we were out at dinner, and we did lose power for like maybe 30 minutes at the restaurant,
Yeah.
and it was like the
Mhm.
whole kind of area that we were in lost
Went
power.
out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's something to consider, like I said, like when you're looking at different areas and the places that you're going to, because we saw the area that we were in having dinner lost power, but we saw that there was power on like the other side, right?
In
So
another
maybe
place.
it's
Yeah.
just in another place. So again, like taking into account what's going on in the politics of the location that you're going to, finding a
Definitely.
finding a building, finding accommodation that has I think they can do like what is it called, like the fiber optic, like it's a wired connection, so you may have
Correct.
faster internet.
The
um
hardwired. Yep. Hmm.
yeah, like looking into these things and factoring that in. And then I believe that there is an app when there is load shedding, so you can track when that load shedding is going to happen, and maybe you work around that to accommodate your work schedule.
Yeah, and I love all that, and I don't know, if you can try to live around politicians and try to live around, because they never experience load shedding. Then the roads are
Right.
great. They never experience outages, and like I said, we haven't experienced outages in a very long time. Like, I've been here for 8 months, haven't experienced any load shedding, and people were saying that's because the election happened, and after the election, people got to show a good face and so forth and so on. Will it come back? They said it's on the way. Who knows? But in certain places where certain prominent people live, you're not going to experience it, and that's something to look at. So if you can't live there, then see about maybe going to a WeWork or a cafe there, because there's workspaces, so that your connection will never be interrupted. There are places that never ever experienced load shedding, even when it was in the height of its load sheddingness. They never experienced it because of who lived there, and those people would be so highly upset if they lost any bit of power at all, which
So
is a whole different thing.
something I'm curious about, and since we're talking about it, do you feel like you have more access to people who are on like a different socioeconomic status? Maybe because like of your Americanness there? Or is it because like we have a little bit more disposable income? But
It's it's a combo. It's a combo because what I realize, even like even white South Africans will treat you better than their country mates who are black. As soon as someone hears the accent, they want to talk to you, they want to check in with you. And for me, there is a comfort for me talking to the white people here and getting in business and having those conversations, as opposed to someone who was born here and maybe they weren't born in the apartheid, but they know about it, and that the apartheid it's still lingering, legally not still allowed, but just like after the civil rights movement, you have to retrain your brain to not be subjugated, and you have to retrain your brain not to be subservient. And so that's still in the process now. They're only about 30 years out. And so I do find myself having conversations with white people here that I know they wouldn't have with Black South Africans, and I'm always like, all right, come on. Or if someone like I'm just being honest, these are experiences. If I'm in a shopping line and then a white person is cutting me, I'm like, excuse me, what's going on? And immediately they're like, oh, okay, oh, like I can't do this to them, or I can. It's true, and it's happened multiple times, and I'm like, wait, come on
no,
now,
they
you
will cut
can't cut.
they will not see you intentionally. They
Oh,
will
Keyoka.
they will gladly step in front of you, sometimes stepping on you. Yes.
And I'm like, no. I mean, excuse me. Yep, I'm in line. Oh, I didn't. Oh. And then it's a like, oh, wait, let me back up, because this, I maybe I thought she was South African, but she's not. And I really, that's the exchange that I want. I want the level of boldness. and I want the level of speaking up. I want that energy from me to go into my black brothers and sisters here. Speak up and say what you don't want, what you do want, and never feel below or underneath anybody, and never feel like you are less than. Even if someone's trying to treat you like that, speak up and don't be quiet, because there's been a lot of silence, and of course you're under heavy oppression, like, understood. But that's the energy I want to always push out. Speak up and don't keep your foot on their necks. Don't let anybody walk over you.
I do want to say too, as a caveat, so like even talking in this experience, we're
Mm,
because I've had similar experiences in South Africa as well, but we
yeah.
are coming to this conversation with the lens of having access to a certain level of privilege, being lighter skinned, um, Americans, right? So we're
Yep.
not going to get the same treatment that maybe a darker skinned American would get, or even a
Mm,
darker skinned South African would get. So our ability to speak up may not be something that another person has. So to answer Chris's question, there are Karens in South Africa, 100%,
yes.
100%. But our ability to speak up for ourselves is what allows us not to be Karen, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I love that you mentioned the colorism piece of it, right? Because we see a lot of skin lightening, skin bleaching in Africa and the West Indies and America. We see that everywhere. You know what I mean? And it always makes me laugh because I'm trying to prove my Africanism. I feel like I have something to prove, so I'm gonna put my head wrap on. Because
Right.
because because of my skin color, people are like, oh, you're not really black, or that kind of rhetoric gets out there. And so I'm like, I love seeing deeply melanated, that beautiful chocolate skin. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And there are so many people who hate it, and so many people who feel like, man, my life would be better if I was a lighter tone. And I understand what's been pushed. And I still want people to feel empowered. I think it's the empowerment piece and that's for everybody across the globe, to feel empowered to not take it. And like my mom's a lawyer, so she raised us to speak up for ourselves. We didn't. She raised us around white people. We didn't take any mess. We were comfortable. I could code switch. I could speak the Queen's English, proper English, but also like, hey girl, what's up? So it's just those levels of comfortability too that I find myself being appreciative of, because now it means I can be around anybody, and I can slip into any culture and really be that global citizen. So small
Right.
tangent, but
No, you're fine. You're fine. And I feel like this is a bigger conversation that we're really not equipped to have, because we don't have a diverse representation on the screen right
we
now, right? So
don't.
like
We
we
don't.
can't speak on behalf of like what darker skinned black South Africans experience. But I
Correct.
will say, just from what I have seen, yes, colorism, racism alive and well in South Africa. The only difference
Yes.
is I didn't feel like my life was in danger because somebody didn't like the way I looked. That's the difference. Okay, I'll say that.
And with the police, there was such a relief with the police interaction. That they're gonna stop you at a speed point, but your life isn't in danger. So in addition to what you're saying, like, I didn't feel like someone was gonna come up and yell a racial slur at me, or do some violent act towards me because we're black. But also with the police and explaining that to those who are citizens of South Africa, was like, ooh, that I felt tense the first time that we went to a police speed point. I felt like my body was tensing up. I wanted to, like, put my hands up. Yeah,
Yeah,
didn't need to do that. It was a quick interaction. Really, they just want a few, funds, and you just kind of move on. So that is a different dynamic to look at too.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Natasha is asking, is it expensive to travel to nearby countries in the south, like Namibia, which is on my list, child?
I went to Namibia. Okay, I went to yes,
Flawless.
Windhoek. Went to Namibia. It was beautiful. Yeah, it was nice. So Namibia is an interesting place. The the employment rate is really low there as well, closer to 60, almost 70%. And yeah, so there's a lot going on. There's a lot of space for businesses and entrepreneurship to come and build in the community. And they are so mineral rich. I was with my significant other and we went to a park, a random park, and we touched the ground and the soil was glittering. It was glittering. And everywhere we looked, it was glittering. It's so
Really?
mineral rich. But the reality is, a lot of not just African Americans, but just Black people in general, we have been so shut out of the mining process. And I'm not trying to get political, I'm just saying what I experienced. We have been so shut out of the mining process that all those minerals are being brought up. We saw we interacted with Germans, with Chinese, and with I think someone else from the UK. They were all there for business, and they were all there for mineral business, not just there on vacation to soak up the Namibian sun. No, they were there to either invest or check on their mining investments. There's money there in that soil, and the children of the soil are not benefiting from it. It's outside people who are really coming in to grab those minerals, because they know their true value. If you're around something a lot, if I see diamonds, if I go in my backyard every day and I see diamonds and cobalt and I see zinc, I don't really know the value of it. So someone else is able to come in, and so that's kind of what I saw. But Namibia is beautiful. It's a beautiful country. It's not desert like. I think it's promoted as it's a desert. It's really not. It's beautiful. It's a very beautiful country.
I was actually, I really want to do a video on everything I'm learning, but I'm actually taking part in the Africa Investor Summit. It's this summit being put on by Ashley in Africa, another YouTuber.
Oh,
And
okay, yeah.
so yesterday's session, she was actually talking about mining, and she
Mm,
brought these black owned miners, these
mm,
people who had a black owned mine, and they were talking about
mm.
how difficult it is to excavate the minerals and receive. So there's a lot of like government money being pushed into it, because I guess they are atoning for the apartheid. But
I
the
guess
problem is, but the problem is to run the actual mining facility, to excavate the land, to make sure that you're doing it in a way that is humane, right? Because like if they have to relocate a city for people who are already living there in order to excavate the mine, you have to do it in a humane way that like still provides housing, like standardized housing for them.
correct.
And so
Hmm.
she talks about how like how much money goes into the business even before you can get the minerals out of the ground. And
Yeah,
then there's a lot of, like you said, a lot of like foreign hands in it, and it's not, these people aren't, they don't care about the quality of life of the people who
they
are
don't
already
care.
living there because they just want the minerals. So
They
I
just
think
want
it's
minerals.
I think it's important, especially as Black Americans, because we tend to have the capital to at least educate ourselves and learn about the different things going on the continent right now. So as I'm educating, I want to share with you guys more. Uh, I need to like put my thoughts together and come up with something, but it's just been very fascinating to learn that all of this was happening right under our noses. And I think now that we are, Black Americans are some of the most educated, some of the most resource dense population in the US. So we really need
Yes,
to start pouring
yes.
back into the continent. That's my tangent.
Hey, it's true, and you know what? There's so much illegal mining that goes on
Yeah.
because it's the value of life doesn't matter. They just want the minerals, and you don't care. And a lot of these countries, I mean, they they could be brought up on child labor laws, and there's a lot of things
Yeah.
that go on in their country. They let us know that they don't care about life. They just want the product made. They want it made in the shortest amount of time in the cheapest way so they can ship it off to Timu and Sheen and all this, right? So those concepts, those mindsets, those ideologies are brought right to the mining. And there was just not just a couple months ago, a big discrepancy with illegal mining and a lot of illegal immigrants who are in mining. Because here in South Africa, and I was surprised to learn that Zimbabweans, those from Zim, are treated like, you know, people from Mexico, when they come to America, came in a great abundance and given the lower jobs and not seen really as human beings. You know what I mean? So a lot of people from Zing were in those illegal mines, getting hurt, getting killed,
Wow.
and risking their lives to make a quick buck because that's what you have to do.
Wow. Oh wow, that's fascinating.
Mm,
I mean, I knew that there was a large Zimbabwean population in South Africa, but
mhm,
I wasn't,
mhm.
because it's like when you're only there for a week or 2 weeks on vacation, you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes.
You can't.
Yeah. You can't, there's no way to really get an understanding of the actual culture, which is why on my platform, I'm using this space to like come and tell like your perspective, come and tell like the insights that you get from actually being there, living in the city. So thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, you're not there for that. You're there to enjoy the place that you are. You're not trying to get into politics and to the underbelly of the country and to the underbelly of wherever you are. So you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go on. I'm gonna go on my excursion, my safari. I'm gonna go to Kruger. I'm gonna go here, there, Durban, and all. You're not here for that. So it's like it just makes perfect sense, and that's why I really love your platform. And I did subscribe. Okay, I subscribed everywhere I could.
Thank you. Thank you. Mm. But
Absolutely.
but what do you think about that? Because I know that there's like, like travel is one of those industries where it can be sort of facetious, right? Like I'm
Correct.
going to such luxurious places and I'm like having these great experiences, but it's completely ignorant of the real day-to-day life of people who live there. Like oftentimes, like you said, the employment rate is low. People aren't making like they aren't making what we're making in the US, right? There's not a lot of things
Not
going
even
on in the
close.
economy. Not even close. So
Oh,
do you feel like as Black travelers we have sort of a responsibility to travel to certain places in a way that is different than our white counterparts?
such a good question. I think there's a market for social justice trips. I don't mean mission trips. I'm not talking about you're feeling bad for some people. You go for a couple weeks and you serve. I mean, if you want to understand the inner workings of where you are, I think there's a market for that, and I do think we have a responsibility. Because if not, then oftentimes we act like our colonizers and we bring that colonizing mindset to Africa. If we're, that's the theme that for this month. So we're talking about, okay, these African countries, we bring our colonized views to these African countries and we go, and it's great to go have a good time. It's great to travel and go and experience a different country and you want to see all the amenities. We can't forget about all that stuff. There's a huge social justice piece to it, that while we're living in the lap of luxury for a month, 2 weeks, however long, that there are people suffering and dying and people not getting paid and only working off of tips. So when you see someone in a restaurant and you want to tip them, that you know how to tip them, but you don't want to tip them so much that they get used to everybody who looks like you tipping them. It's like a balance, because I love tipping. I used to work in the service industry, so I'm a tipper. My South African community is like, Steph, look, girl, like I love that you tip. It's wonderful. But like you're not a tourist, so just chill on that. Give the norm, you can tip, but give the normal tip of someone who lives here. We do tip, but we don't want to train anyone to just expect that all the time because that's not realistic. So I'm just going back to what I said. There is a market for a social justice piece for when you're traveling. If you want it, you can always find it, right? It's something to add in. You can go visit a school, you can go see this, you can go see that, you can go really see what's happening. And don't if you have a tour guide, don't be afraid to ask about politics. Some people like to avoid those conversations. These are things we have to know. It helps us get outside of the bubble of America. We've been under a firmament, a dome, that what goes on here is the best and everything else is low, and it's not true. So it gives you that overview of what's going on. So there is a market for it, and I do think we should explore it. I think we have a responsibility to do it personally.
I agree. I agree. And thank you for sharing that. So this
Yeah.
is my last question. I love to ask this question because every time I get a different answer. What have you learned
Okay.
about yourself since moving abroad?
Oof, I'm about to start crying, but I'm chilling. Um, I learned that it's okay to listen more and talk less. I'm a talker. I love to talk, love to share. But if I'm really talking about learning people's experiences, I need to shut up and I need to be quiet and I need to allow myself to hear more. So that's the person I'm turning into. I also realized that my creativity level is jumped up so high here, and my mind and where I am, I feel more centered and balanced. So I
Mhm.
learned so much about myself in the scope of like it's okay for me to be me and I don't have to pretend to be anyone else and I don't have to keep on a mask or a facade maybe that I had to wear in the States, right? So I was able to find me, like a different identity. I was given a different name in Tombi, which means like a woman, like almost a virtuous woman, a fair woman. So I'm able to shift into a new identity and not be afraid of it. And I've learned for me, and that's not for everybody. I learned who I am by being quiet and really processing and understanding people's experiences and not always having to chat, 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 chat. But I can hear, I can process, and I can adopt what I need to adopt, and I can reject what I don't need. So I'm shifting into new identities and new versions of myself. That's who I came to find, the new version of me, of who I needed to be here. So that's it in a
I
nutshell.
love that. I love that. I love that. And I will always shout out this quote from the incomparable Stephanie Perry when she was on my channel. She said, "There is a version of you that you haven't met yet because you are still in the US."
Still in the US. Still in the US. So
Still in
come
the
on, meet that
US.
version. In
Yes,
multiple
I love
versions.
that.
Come on, meet those versions.
Right. The willingness to change who you are.
Woof. Mm.
Yes. Yes, I love it. Well, thank you so much for your openness. Thank you for this chat. I feel like we had a wonderful discussion. Um,
Yes.
yes, thank you all at home for watching us. Like the video if you have not liked the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed to the channel. What we doing, right?
Click the
Drop,
button.
click the button. Okay, drop down in the comment section what part of this discussion did you like. Are we gonna be using Steph's matchmaking service? What was it? Mumbazi matches. Listen,
Mzansi match.
Mzanzi match. Are we going? Are we doing it? What we doing? Drop down in the comments. Let us know. And thank you all for joining me. Y'all have an amazing Sunday. Peace out.